Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin.
National Commercial Bank NCB customers bracing for service charge hikes. Calls being made for the indecent language law to be repealed. And later in sports, West Indies legends pleased with interest from possible Indian sponsors for CWI.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry Simpson. Here are the details. We begin this afternoon with news of another imminent price hike for consumers. Customers of the National Commercial Bank NCB will soon have to pay more to access the bank's services. The bank communicated its plan to the public on Thursday. The fee hikes will take effect ahead of the busy Christmas period starting December 1. Now we'll have more on NCB's service charge changes later in primetime news in the financial week. To a TVJ News update, the beryllium security guard implicated in the theft of more than $15 million from an armored vehicle is expected to face more questions from investigators today. The 32-year-old driver reportedly gave a caution statement to the police following his arrest yesterday off Hope Road in St. Andrew. Now he is from Linstead St. Catherine and was listed as the prime suspect in the October 11 incident. Investigators have not divulged whether the stolen cash was recovered. In a statement today, the security company extended appreciation to the police for the swift action which led to the apprehension of the suspect. Group Managing Director of the Guardsman Group of Company, David Whitaker, says the organization will continue to review and reinforce its internal controls and security protocols to maintain the highest level of safety and operational integrity across the island. Calls are being made to repeal the indecent language law. The latest push comes after reggae artist Lila Ike clashed with law enforcement while heading to Reggae Sumfest in July this year, sparking concerns about free speech and culture. Speaking on Smile Jamaica Friday morning, attorney at law Peter Champagny Casey said the law on certain language was originally meant to protect Jamaica's unique form of self-expression. He notes that in the past, some legislators have used language deemed indecent with no consequences. It is why he believes it should now be repealed.
Section 9C of the Town and Communities Act legislation.
What does it say?
And it says that, if you use that kind of language in public, then you're liable to be convicted and a fine, I think, of $1,500 is imposed.
Mr. Champagny made the suggestion to criminalize disorderly conduct, not the use of indecent language, and that the country has far more urgent issues to address in terms of legislation.
Boisterously, you can behave in a confrontation way, all of those things, which would result in disorderly conduct. But never, we need to bear in mind that the legislation that speaks about about indecent language also speaks about you dusting out a mat in public, that you can be charged for that. It also speaks about dancing in public and jumping up and down. So the question is, what about drunk on the dance and all of those things? So that's why I'm insisting that we really need to look at some of these laws. The Firearms Act, all of those are things that we really need to look at. And when you look at this now in terms of occupying the court's time, and we appreciate our history, it doesn't sit well. There's a particular word that is used. It can be used to express contempt, beauty, joy, surprise.
Many of them.
Right? You know it and I know it.
The issue of uncollected garbage is once again coming to the fore, this time in St. James. The matter was raised at the recent Municipal Corporation monthly meeting. Details in this report.
The regional director of the Western Parks and Market, Edward Muir, admitted there has been a backlog in garbage collection for the last 3 weeks in Montego Bay. He explained the parish currently has 9 government units and 3 supplementary units servicing the parish, but said that's still not enough.
I want to note that currently in St. James we need a minimum of 15 units to effectively clean St. James. Currently we have 9. What I must say though, that last year we received some Shopman units in the region, and of those that we received, 3 of them are currently down. Right? We have had a meeting this week with the supplier, and they have assured us that by next week we should get back one in particular to deal with the downtown Montego Bay area, and the other 2 units will be getting them in short order. Mr.
Muir said alternatives have been put in place to help clear the backlog.
We have instituted 3 shifts. We have a 6 to 2 shift, 2 to 10, and we have 3 night shifts in St. James. Also to note that we have started pulling units from neighboring parishes in order to effectively clean St. James, because we have seen a significant increase of waste being put out in St. James.
Additionally, he said the recent rains have impacted the operations at the retirement dump site.
All our equipment, they're up and running on the disposal site as we speak. But because of this, the terrain, His Worship, most time the trucks go and they sink. So it starts to cause a delay at the disposal site. We have also put some drain system in place, and we have lifted the road also. So as soon as the rain passes, we will be doing some remedial work to ensure that the landfill goes back to how it normally is.
Aliyah Bryant, TVJ News.
The St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, the police and the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, say they will be stepping up enforcement in the market and commercial areas of Spanish Town in the coming weeks. The push is part of an effort to make the town cleaner and safer. Vendors and business operators are therefore being warned to comply. The move will target areas operating without proper garbage disposal licenses. Councillor for the Treadways Division, Sydney Rose, says unregulated garbage disposal continues to be a major concern, contributing to blocked drains and health hazards.
Conditions in terms of garbage disposal in this parish. It's all over, and we have to cauterize this. We cannot continue to have this sort of wanton disposal of garbage any and everywhere, because it's make the parish very filthy and dirty. So we are trying to cauterize that, and we are trying to speak with every single operator, every single person who operates in this space.
In the meantime, Mayor of St. Catherine, Norman Scott, says the new vending measures will be rolled out in short order.
The corporation hereby declares the following streets and their immediate sidewalks and verges within the township of Spanish Town, St. Catherine, as no vending zones, effective upon publication in the Jamaica Gazette. And the roads are Burke Road, Oxford Road, Wellington Street, Cumberland Road, Friends Street.
To a TVJ News follow-up, President of the All Voice Route Taxi Association, Lorraine Finnegan, says the group has received a response from the authorities in St. Thomas. The group registered its complaints over the poor state of the facilities commuters and operators have been using in the eastern St. Thomas transport area.
And we realize these places that have been identified, we realize that some areas of the transportation center have been cleared of debris. We also notice that the drains are clean, and so we will continue to make representation.
In the meantime, he says he and local group leaders are willing to source funding and materials to complete the work themselves if the relevant authorities give approval.
We had started to ask for materials, and if we had gotten them, then myself and President Newman would have traveled from Kingston. The operators over here were willing to come out with a tool to put up the shed. And that shed was earmarked in close proximity to the bathroom facility.
Coral reefs are facing an unprecedented crisis. One researcher says rising sea temperatures linked to climate change is putting fragile ecosystems at serious risk. Speaking on Smile Jamaica Thursday, research program manager at the Alligator Head Foundation, Dr. Dexter Dean Cahoon, outlined the role of coral reefs.
Of seafood on your table, you're talking about lots of recreational activities like the beach. You're talking about...
Why?
All right, so corals are made up of calcium carbonate skeletons. So when they die and break down, they contribute to the sand on the beaches. Apart from that, animals that live on the reef, referred to as calcareous organisms, they also produce calcium carbonate in the shells. You're talking about conch, in the exoskeleton like sea urchin. So all of this contributes to sand. So if these animals don't have a place to live, we're going to have less sand.
Now in Jamaica, teams are helping coral reefs adapt and survive, showing that local action makes a global difference. It is now time for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It is now time for the Business Minute.
Dollar Financial Services has announced the launch of a $1 billion bond offer aimed at supporting its continued growth and expansion across the region. The offer is divided into two tranches: a 3-year note valued at $500 million with an 11% annual interest rate, and an optional 5-year note carrying a 12% annual rate. The company has also reserved the right to upsize the invitation by an additional $500 million, which could bring the total value of the offer to $1.5 billion. Interest on the bonds will be paid quarterly with a first payment due on December 30, 2025. Further afield, the federal deficit edged lower this year thanks in part to President Donald Trump's tariffs. According to the Treasury Department, the budget deficit slipped to nearly $1.78 trillion in fiscal year 2025. That is down $41 billion from the prior fiscal year. The revenue from tariffs soared to $195 billion, which is a sharp increase from the $77 billion they brought in last year. For the Business Minute, I'm Shane Masters.
Thank you, Ashane. Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Guyana's Vice President Bharat Jagdeo says tougher regulations and higher taxes are coming to rein in gambling, which he warns is driving families into financial ruin. He says easy access through mobile apps has turned gambling into a national problem. Jagdeo also ordered a full probe into alleged gold smuggling by the Mohammed family, accused of moving $50 million worth of gold out of the country, and any officials who may have helped them. And on the international scene, India is rejecting US President Donald Trump's claim that it agreed to stop buying Russian oil. Trump said Prime Minister Narendra Modi assured him of that commitment, but India's foreign ministry says it's unaware of any such conversation or promise. India has become one of Moscow's top oil customers since Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. The dispute follows Trump's decision to slap an additional 25% tariff on Indian imports as punishment for continuing to buy Russian gas and oil. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Aliyah Bryant.
Thank you, Alia. Now we head to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have your Midday Sports Report.